Side Hustle Show 84, 33 grand in 30 days, getting started with private labeling and Amazon FBA.
Welcome to the Side Hustle Show, where aspiring part-time entrepreneurs learn how to turn their side hustle dreams into reality. Because your 9 to 5 may make you a living, but your 5 to 9 makes you alive. And now, your host, Nick Loper.
Hey everybody, Nick Loper here. Welcome to the Side Hustle Show. With Christmas season upon us, if you're anything like me, you're probably doing lots of online shopping and perhaps more specifically, lots of Amazon shopping. But as I've learned recently and covered on this podcast in episode 61 with Ryan Grant, not everything you buy on Amazon is owned by Amazon. In fact, a lot of it is owned and sold by entrepreneurs and side hustlers, just like you and me, with those orders being fulfilled by Amazon. Could you become one of those sellers? Why not? Why not? In this episode, I'm joined by Andy Slamans from Slamazon Private Label.com. It's spelled exactly how it sounds, but we'll link to it in the show notes, to discuss the side hustle opportunity in identifying proven selling products and importing your own products to compete with those and sell them on the world's largest store. Now, this is a different ballgame from the retail arbitrage strategies we've talked about before. Where we're going to Walmart, we're going to Target, we're scanning clearance items and shipping those in. If there's enough, if there's enough of a discrepancy between the price locally and the price on Amazon, there's a little more research involved with this one. There's a little more marketing involved, and a lot more. Well, a little more investment involved as well. We're talking about ways we can get started for relatively low risk, but there's a bigger upside. I think this could be like a real business, and that could be self-perpetuating in a way. Anyways, my guest went full time into this just in May, and expects to exceed $400,000 in top line revenue this year, with profit margins, he says, around 25 to 30%. That's a serious business. So looking forward to this conversation and sharing everything with Andy Slamans. Let's do this. Hey, Andy, welcome to the Side Hustle Show.
Hey, Nick.
Now, everybody, Andy Slamans, am I saying that right?
Yes. Yep. That's exactly right.
Andy is the founder of Slamazon Private Label.com. He's a former Amazon FBA side hustler, which is something we've talked about on the blog and podcast before. But he's actually turned this into his full-time gig by specializing in importing products, private labeling them, and then selling them on Amazon. Now, how is this working out? How about to the tune of $33,000 in the last 30 days? Andy, thank you so much for joining me. Let's start off with kind of like the 2-minute big picture overview of how this business works, and then we'll dive into the nitty-gritty details of how somebody can get started in this.
Sure. Hey, first, I just want to say thanks for having me on your show. I'm a big fan. So, yeah, I'm one of those guys whose side hustle turned into a full-time hustle. My side hustle was a hobby, and it grew so fast it became a full-time hustle. Before I get into what I do, Nick, I just think we live in amazing times. If you want to be an entrepreneur, the world really is at our doorstep. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a business guy. I was actually a youth ministry major in college.
Okay.
And for the last 15 years, I've been working with disadvantaged urban youth and just started my side hustle 2 years ago of private labeling selling on Amazon, which became my full-time hustle in May. And I just started in May, but I'm going to do over $400,000 in gross sales this year.
Wow. Wow. Congratulations on going full-time and putting up those kind of numbers right out of the gate. That's incredible.
Yeah, thanks. The information, right? The opportunities that you and I have access to, I don't think it's ever been before. I wonder if our grandparents, who they call the greatest generation with their work ethic, if they had access to the type of information and opportunities you and I have, right? The cars that we would be in would probably be flying like the Jetsons.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So I just went full time in May. It was just a side hustle. It was my hobby. It was something to kind of distract me from my work. And it grew so fast. My wife and I had to make a decision. Either I was going to have to scale it down and continue doing what we were doing, or I was going to have to leave my past job and make it full time. So that's what I did. Uh, Basically, I sell on Amazon.com, which I'm sure all your listeners are familiar with. And typically, about 60% of the products on Amazon are owned by Amazon themselves. And then 40% are owned by third party sellers like myself.
Okay.
I'm considered a smaller seller. So most smaller sellers that sell probably like $1 million or less a year, they do what's called retail arbitrage. I think you've talked about this on your show before. It's kind of a crazy concept, but people will go to Walmart, Target, big box stores, and they'll buy clearance items, or sometimes they'll just buy normal price items, and then they'll sell them on Amazon for 2 or 3 times the price. It's basically supply and demand.
Yeah, which is a fascinating business, but it just never really appealed to me because I never find myself at a Target, just with time to like browse the aisles and stuff. And people have done it. People have done really, really successfully with it. But I don't know. That one doesn't necessarily appeal to me so much.
Right.
But you've got a different way to go about it, to use kind of Amazon. Hey, it's the world's largest store, and they're going to let anybody set up shop there.
Right. Yeah. So how I started doing retail arb. I was going in those Walmarts and in the Targets, and it was just really time consuming. It wasn't very enjoyable for me. I'm not like a big shopper.
Yeah.
And what happens a lot of times on those products, there's so many other sellers that are selling them on Amazon because they're like a branded product, like we'll say like a Doc McStuffins doll. It's a real popular product at Christmas time.
Okay.
So if you look on Amazon for that doll, you'll see there'll be about 150 sellers that are selling that one particular doll. And so what happens is you have to share the buy box with those other sellers, and basically you have to compete with them on price. And so the lowest price is always going to get the buy box. And so sometimes you'll buy a product and it looks really good, like you're going to make a lot of money off of it. But by the time you get it sent into Amazon, you're competing with those other sellers, you end up making just a little bit. So that was my experience. And then I started looking into private labeling, which is basically importing and selling my own brand on Amazon. And it means that I'm the only seller. So other sellers can't jump on my listing, which means that I get 100% of the sales.
But you've also got to go through the trouble of creating your own brand. Like, that's the thing. Like, if people are actively searching for Doc McStuffins, like you can capitalize on that traffic. But now I will get into all this stuff. But like now you've got to generate traffic for your specific listing.
Yeah, so that's where the expertise comes in. You don't want to bring something to market that people aren't searching for, because we all know search is king. And if you're bringing a product to the Amazon marketplace that nobody wants, then you're not going to generate any sales. And so what you have to do is you have to be knowledgeable and know what the Amazon shoppers are looking for. And then those are the products that you want to bring to the Amazon marketplace. And it's amazing. There really are. There are millions of products that sell every day at a very high sales velocity rate that are what I would consider private label products. And so that's what I started doing that right around the time I went full time, and just started with one product, and I've slowly built that. And so right now, my private label products are selling at $33,000 a month. And that's just my private label products. My average, when I include all the other products, I'm at $45,000 a month in gross sales.
Okay.
So yeah, that's just a little summary of it.
And your margin is, you said, around a quarter to a third of that?
Yes. So my margin is about 25 to 30%. The key is when you sell something on Amazon, you want to try to go by what's called a 3 times rule. And so if you buy something for $10, and this is probably going to sound crazy, but you need to sell it for $30. So basically what happens is Amazon gets 10 of those dollars. It costs you $10 to buy the product, and then you make $10 profit. So, you want to try to double your money, but in order to do that, the product that you're selling, it has to hit that 3 times rule.
Okay. No, that's good to know. Good to know. So let me walk me through this as much as we can in the time that we have. So I'm on Amazon.com, and I want to find something that I could potentially sell, or find out what people are searching for. Like, where's the opportunity for me to jump in? How did you figure out what to get started selling?
Well, the great thing about Amazon, and no one knows how long they'll do it, but on all their products they sell in the different categories, they actually give them ranks. And so if you're in the home and kitchen category, there's probably like 15 million products that are just in that category. And if you're looking at a product and you scroll down, Amazon will tell you what that product is ranked in that category. And so for sellers like myself, I know if that product is selling a good amount based upon the rank. And so I'll give you an example. I'm looking right now at these crazy things. They're called onion goggles. You probably never heard of them before. I hadn't until I started private labeling.
Okay, I'm looking for onion goggles.
So if you search if you search onion goggles on Amazon, you'll get these, they look just like glasses, they'll come up. It has foam around them. It's supposed to help you so you don't cry, right? When
okay. You're cutting up. $20 on Amazon Prime, by the way.
yeah, $20. Well, how much do you think I can buy those for? I connect with all my manufacturers through Alibaba.com. So if you go to Alibaba.com and you search for onion goggles, you'll see you can purchase those on there, the exact same ones, for $1.50.
Oh my gosh, and they're selling for $20, but you've got to buy like a million or whatever. You got to buy like in bulk. Yeah.
And like on this, actually, I researched this a little bit. So you can actually you could buy 200 and you can get them for $1.50, and your minimum order quantity would be 200 pieces, which, that's not a lot of money. The crazy thing is one of these goggles, I'm not sure which one you pulled up, it's at a 2,500 rank. So that means that those goggles are selling about 30 to 40 a day.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh, I found one. This was ranked 1,800 in kitchen and dining.
Yeah, that's even better.
Okay. So if I pull up a product and I see this sales, so am I looking for something that looks relatively, I'm not looking for like, a KitchenAid blender. I'm not looking for something particularly, high price or complex with multiple parts and pieces.
Well, yeah, not necessarily. I mean, you don't you never want to import a name brand item because it's most likely going to be counterfeit. But there are a lot of manufacturers, and sometimes, you'll order from the manufacturer that manufactures a product for KitchenAid. They may be the main manufacturer for KitchenAid. And so you'll buy the exact same product, that manufacturer is making for KitchenAid, but you're just able to put your own brand on it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, similar to like, Trader Joe's will never say who's making their products, but it's like the exact same as whatever the name brand is, or same as Costco, right? Like Kirkland signature brand.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Okay. So let's go back to these onion goggles, which are just glasses with foam around the eyes for $20. And so I look at this, I see, hey, this has a rank. Is there a particular rank? So this is a category rank in kitchen and dining.
Yes.
Is there a particular number that you're looking for this to be under?
Yeah. So every category has a different amount of products in it. Like the toy category has around, I want to say around 10 million. And so every category is a little bit different. Okay. But generally, if you find a product that has a rank, and this could go, basically across any category of 12,000 or less, that would be a product that you want to private label. Because again, when you private label it, you own all the sales. And so you don't have to share those sales. And, a product like this, the margins are so good. I think I looked it up. You're going to net between $13 and $14 on those onion goggles. And so if you only sell 5 a day, and maybe you have 30 private label products in the Amazon warehouse selling 5 a day, you're making a good living.
Yeah, no question about it. So are you ordering these? Is that your next step?
You know what? I haven't yet, but I'm thinking about it.
Now, you're not holding any inventory, right? Or you touch it for a very short time.
Yeah. So right now, because again, I just got started in May. And so I'm really establishing relationships with the manufacturers I work with. I have them send the product to me first, and then I send it into the Amazon warehouse. So I'm sure most of your listeners are probably familiar with FBA, that Amazon ships all the product direct to the customer, and they handle all the customer service and customer care. I just have to get my product to the Amazon warehouse.
Right. Now that's huge. You don't want to be dealing with individual onion goggle shipments or something like that.
Right. And the goal is eventually, and I'm taking a trip to China in the summer to meet with my
Oh,
manufacturers.
wow.
The goal is to be able to teach them how to put the right labels on the product so that they can ship it directly to the Amazon warehouse. So I don't have to see it or touch it then.
Now, what's to stop them from cutting you out and selling this directly?
Yeah, a lot of people ask that question. Well, it's the same kind of thing, I think, like with distributors or with wholesalers, and especially with manufacturers. A lot of them don't necessarily want to deal with the end customer. They just want to be a business to business, organization that sells in bulk. Because when you do end up dealing with the end customer, it gets a little more complicated. And so far, I haven't had that issue.
Okay. Okay, so I find something, and the onion goggles are probably a good example where it's like the brand name doesn't really matter. It's a commodity product. I'm not searching for like, Oakley onion goggles or something like that. It's a thing. It's a keyword search, something like I can see how that might be, a good type of product to target. And so my next step is to go to Alibaba.com and see who's what my manufacturing options are.
Yep. So yeah, my process is exactly what you just said. I basically I have a way that I comb through the Amazon categories and I pick out the products that are at good ranks that I would be able to private label. And then I go to Alibaba and I put those products in the search box there. And so then I begin the process of trying to find a manufacturer that will, make a product that's very similar to the one that I'm looking at.
How do you find, I'm dealing with somebody overseas. Like, how do you know which of these manufacturers are legit?
Sure. Yeah, so that's a big question. And most of the people I talk to, and I was too, to be honest, I had a friend that introduced me to Alibaba. When I first heard of Alibaba, which was about a year and a half ago, all I could think about was like somebody flying on a magic carpet. It sounded foreign to me and it didn't sound safe to me.
It definitely doesn't sound like a China, website. It sounds like Arabic site or something.
Right, right. And so, I had heard stories of people being scammed on it. So when Alibaba first came out, like a lot of, new startups, there were people who, took the opportunity to scam a lot of folks. And so there would be people who would basically advertise on there like they were a manufacturer. And so people would place orders through them and it would just be like a total fake company. And so, the folks would never hear from them again and their money would be gone. But since then, Alibaba's done a really good job at verifying the companies that advertise on there. So there are three things real quickly that when you search for companies on Alibaba, you always want to make sure you do. There's three check boxes. One's called a gold supplier. You want to put a little check mark in that box. These are three filters you want to use. Second one is called on-site check. And you want to check that when you're searching for manufacturers. It means that there's been a third party company that's gone and made sure that factory actually exists.
That's always a bonus.
Yeah, that it's not just like an empty field.
Okay.
And so they make sure that their operations are real, and that they're actually making product. And then the third one you want to check is called assess supplier. So that means that they've gone in and they've looked at the books and the books are legitimate. They'll even on some of them they take video, so you can watch the video of the factory. So that's the top three that you want to do. And now they even have a fourth one. And again, this is where Alibaba is just kind of changing the game, especially for small sellers like myself, to be able to make importing so much easier. The fourth one is they have an escrow box. So basically, when you check that, that means that an escrow company will keep your money until you receive your full order, and until you are pleased with your full order, they'll keep that money. And until you give them the okay, then they'll release it to the manufacturer. So
Oh, okay.
that process makes it a lot safer.
Okay, yeah, because otherwise you'd be paying upfront, several $100s for these products in bulk. And how long does it take to ship to you?
Yeah, that's another thing. It's crazy. I get about 80% of my products I get shipped by air, and DHL, UPS, and FedEx have refined their air shipping so much. So I'll put an order in with my manufacturer, and it'll be at my doorstep 4 to 5 days later.
Oh, wow. Oh my
And
gosh.
and I'm talking that's like a $5,000 to $6,000 order.
Wow. I imagine something like, okay, well, we'll get to building these things, in a couple weeks, and then we're going to put them on a boat, and then like a month later, it'll hit San Francisco, and then, it seems like, but that kind of turnaround time is pretty serious.
Yeah, I actually trust my Alibaba suppliers more than I trust like Kmart or Walmart or Target. They pack better and it arrives right on time. And another thing, like dealing with the sales rep of the manufacturers that I have relationships with on Alibaba, they're really hungry and they're eager to please. And so I do all of my transactions actually on Facebook Messenger. And every night, like when I make an order, every night my sales rep will update me on where that order is.
Hmm.
And so I don't have to like do UPS tracking or anything. They'll actually track the product for me just because they want to have such a good relationship. So that part has been really cool.
Okay. So I find my gold seller, my on-site check seller, and is there like a back and forth? Is there a negotiation? Hey, I need what would be a typical minimum order for something like these onion goggles?
Sure. Yeah. So, if you search those onion goggles on Alibaba, you'll have
By
probably
the time
about,
this airs, like there's going to be a flood of onion goggles.
yeah. So if you search for onion goggles on Alibaba, there'll be about 18 or 19 manufacturers who make those exact goggles. Every manufacturer is going to be a little different in their MOQs, minimum order quantities,
Okay.
but generally they're always negotiable. And that's just kind of a thing with experience. If you've worked with Chinese companies before, there's definitely a way that you want to negotiate that saves face. I'll give you one tip, and probably a lot of your listeners know this already. Whenever you negotiate, you never let them know that you're the boss. So, whenever I negotiate, I always say my title is I'm the senior purchasing manager. Um, and in those negotiations, I'll say, okay, you know what, I have to talk to my boss, and then I'll get back to you. And it's just a way to kind of it deflects some of the ickiness of negotiation. And I found that definitely dealing with Chinese sales reps, it seems to work better that way.
Interesting. It makes your company look a little bit bigger than than it is.
Right. Yeah. I heard someone say you want to fake it until you make it, right?
Okay. Well, no, there's something in 4 Hour Work Week about that too. I think he's like, yeah, instead of calling yourself, president and CEO, you could be like, I'm director of marketing or whatever. So yeah, I'm the purchasing manager.
Right.
What? So I negotiate this order, and it's coming to my door, and now you still got to kind of like create this private label company in order to sell them. Yes. So the ones that are Amazon, they're called RSVP International Onion Goggles.
Right.
Or at least this is the one that I've clicked on. And it says sold by, this company and fulfilled by Amazon. Do you have to like create a full corporation and brand and packaging and label and all that stuff?
Yeah, so it depends on how far you want to take that product. So for me, like a product like this, and that's the amazing thing about Amazon. I'm sure a lot of your listeners probably order stuff from Amazon, but you can really. So if I order these goggles, I can place that in front of millions of customers, and basically all I do is I'll just come up with a name, and then I create my product page, and I'll name the goggles whatever brand I come up with. Now, in the meantime, before I import them, and this is what Chinese companies are great at too, they have in-house design people. And so, whatever name I come up with, they'll be able to put that name on those goggles, and it's like no problem. For all of my products, they charge like a $40 fee, and that's even if I order like 10,000 of an item. They're just really good. They know how to private label, how to brand things. And so I'll have them put my name on the goggles. And then basically the work that I have to do when it arrives in my doors, I have to create a good product page. So just like the, the goggles that you're looking at, the RSVP, I have to get professional photos done. Now, what I do with those is I take them myself. I have a really good camera, and then I send them to Fiverr. And I'm sure your listeners have probably used Fiverr before, and they'll white out the background and they'll make them professional looking. And then I just have to put the marketing work in to create that good product page, basically on Amazon. Takes me probably about an hour.
What would be considered best practices for that product listing page?
You want to create a good title. Generally, that title is going to start with the name of your product or the name of your brand. You want to put a few keywords in there. Amazon doesn't want you to spam their titles with keywords. When you're looking for a product, you will see it sometimes. Like if you're searching on eBay, a lot of times you'll see those titles, they're just full of keywords.
Yeah.
And then there's always on Amazon, then they let you put bullet points. You want to try to fill those bullet points up with as many keywords as you can that make sense. And then basically the real work is when you come down to the product description. And this is where, if you have a marketing background, you want to be a good writer. You want to make your onion goggles stand out more than, maybe the other 6 listings that are on Amazon selling those onion goggles. So those are really the 3 main ways that you put work into creating your product listing. The main thing, though, is to get those professional photos, to make sure those photos look good, because that's what initially grabs people's attention.
Would you hire like a professional model to model your onion goggles?
You could. Yeah, I mean, that would be great, if you're able to do something like that, because then yours would stand out, right?
Okay. Now in this case, the one that I'm on has 189 customer reviews, and they're 5.5 or 4.5 star rated. These are very highly rated onion goggles. As a new seller coming on, do you have to worry about how am I going to compete? These guys have all the ratings already or all the reviews. How does that?
Yep, sure.
How does that work out?
So, whenever you bring your product, to the Amazon marketplace, it lands in the warehouse. Then your work really is to generate sales. The way that your product gets on the first, second, or third page of search, really 2 things. One is you have to generate sales. And so you can do that through promo codes. So, I might send you a message on Facebook and say, hey, Nick, I have these neat onion goggles. Here's a promo code. You can get these onion goggles for free if you use this promo code. All I ask is that you leave me an honest review. And so if you generate sales that way, and then you leave honest reviews, your product is going to move down in ranking. And the more sales that you're able to, to blast out, and the more reviews that you're able to get, then your product is going to move into that first, second, or third page of search.
Okay. So as a seller, you can generate your own promo codes for your stuff.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Whenever you bring new products to market, that's typically kind of the way that it's done. You send out promo codes, and then you just ask people to give you honest reviews about your product. Now, here's the thing, and some people think it's like magic, that you can just sell anything on there as long as you land on the first, second, or third page of search. And that's not necessarily true. You have to be selling a product that people are searching for. Otherwise, I could blast out like maybe 50 sales in one day, And that product, actually, I did this with a friend. He was selling a bamboo dough whisk. And in one day, just sending out Facebook messages, his product went from 120,000 in kitchen all the way down to 1,400 in rank.
Okay.
And so he sold like 35 of them, I think. Now, if that product is a product that people aren't searching for, then within 3 or 4 days, his rank is going to go higher and he's just going to move off of that first, second, or third page of search. Does that make sense?
Okay, so it's not so much about you, because I think, hey, if I'm ranked 1,400 in Google, no one is ever going to find me. But it's more about, for those targeted keywords, if I'm looking specifically for that, what was it, a bamboo dough whisk?
Yeah,
I don't even know what that is. But, assuming your competition that's also selling, because that's 1,400 is in all of kitchen. But if your competition for that specific dough whisk product isn't that high, so you can inflate your rank with these promo codes, generate some reviews with that. Now, is there like, I want 5 or 10 before, and it's worth it to give that many away, because you have enough margin in the other 200 that you ordered that it's going to be okay.
Right. Yeah, I consider that my advertising costs, or my marketing costs.
Okay.
Basically, I need to, you see guys out on the street, right, giving away their CDs, like the maybe the different rappers, they're trying to get their product out there to hopefully eventually generate sales.
No, it's the same way with books. Give the book away, generate reviews, pump up the rank.
Right. Yep. And then hopefully, if you have a good product, then that product will continue to sell if people are searching for it.
Any shipments you've really taken a bath on?
So far, I've been pretty lucky. I will give you one mistake that I made. I've ordered over $100,000 worth of product, just in the last 8 months. I have had no mistakes on my manufacturer's part. I have made a mistake on my part.
Okay.
So one thing I tell all when I talk to people, I always tell them, you never order large quantities until you order a sample first. And so the very first step in a process, and we probably should have said this earlier, like with these onion goggles, you don't put an order of 200 in. You contact the manufacturer and you say, hey, I'd like to have a sample order, and you want to order 2 or 3 of the item. So that's what I've always done. Always put samples first, and then you got to fall in love with that sample. You got to make sure the quality's good. Well, one manufacturer I still order from today, I had ordered a lot of product from, and it was really good, very high quality. But he had another product that was similar, and so I just had in my mind, look, this product is similar. I'm already ordering from this company. The quality of this similar product is going to be on the same standard as the quality that I'm currently getting. Well, I put an order in. It was like a $3,000 order, and I didn't get the sample first. And so, that order came, and unfortunately, the quality of that item was what I would call standard or substandard. Mm-hmm. And so that was my learning experience. I didn't listen to my own advice. But it also taught me, just because you get one item from a manufacturer doesn't mean that all the items that manufacturer makes are going to be of that same quality.
Okay. And then, were you able to sell those, or did you have to discount them, or what did you?
Yeah. So I am currently selling them, but they're like, I sell them for like a quarter of what, all the other products sell for on Amazon.
Okay. And so it's more just, let me clear out this inventory and.
Right. Yep. I'm breaking even, maybe losing just a little bit of money.
Okay. No, that's good. Get a sample up front before committing. And then, for people starting out, $400, $500, is that, could you get a reasonable order size? Like, if you find something you think is going to be a winner, is that a reasonable bet to lay on the table?
Yeah, definitely. I'll say this, and here's the thing too. There's 2 sites, right? There's Alibaba, which is a business site, and then there's AliExpress. It's one company, but two different sites. AliExpress is more like the eBay in China. You can buy like 1 item or 2 items. Sometimes the items on AliExpress will be like factory seconds, so maybe the paint's a little faded. Not always, but usually the item is going to be functional, but there could be something, something a little off with it. And so if you're just getting started out, basically all the items you find on Alibaba, you can find on AliExpress, and you can buy them in lower quantities. So it's actually a really good way if you're starting out and you don't have a lot of capital, but you're interested. You can kind of test the market, by buying goods there at a really low price.
Okay.
But even like using the onion goggle example, if you make a minimum order, I know on one of the manufacturers, you could order 200 of those at $1.50 a piece. So your investment really is not that great, on something like that. So you can get started for $400 to $500.
Okay. And how much is shipping to your door?
Well, it depends on the product. So air shipping is obvious. It's a lot more expensive. And so I try to find products like these goggles that I can air ship and that I don't have to ship by boat. It's going to be more expensive. However, I can get it to my door in 4 to 5 days. And when you ship by air, and this is a big game changer too, if you're just getting started out, you don't have to fill out any customs paperwork or anything like that. The manufacturer handles all the paperwork. So basically, it's just like ordering off of Amazon. When you ship by boat, it's going to take 30 to 35 days. You need to have a customs agent. You need to have a freight forwarder. The good thing is that they handle all the paperwork for you, but there's no way that you can do that process by yourself. Okay. You have to spend money when you're shipping things by boat. And again, generally, if you're doing it by boat, those buys are probably going to be, 6,000 and up.
Wow. That's pretty serious. What happens when, and that's probably one of the bigger risks in the, slower shipping rates is like, in between the time where I found this opportunity and I got the product, all of a sudden, the market's been flooded. Everyone else saw the same thing. And to what extent are you perpetuating this, by sharing, this information, by teaching this in your course? And what happens when it gets crowded, when it gets flooded, because everybody else is looking for these same opportunities?
Yeah, sure. So, that's part of the research, before you order a product, like these onion goggles. I forget how many, I think there's a number of sellers of these on Amazon. So that's probably a product that I wouldn't order. Once the market gets saturated, you want to stay away from it. And so that's just part of the research. When you're on Amazon, you want to look and see how many, items there are that are already being private labeled. Generally, it doesn't just like drop off, like you're jumping off of a cliff. Usually it's kind of like maybe a slow decline. And the good part about importing from China is your margins are always so good. And so like these goggles, if you can buy them for $1.50, shipping on top of that is probably another $1.50 per goggle. And so you only have, $3 into them. Well, you have room there, if for some reason, the floor did drop out, you're still going to at least break even, or you're most likely going to make a little bit of money.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising because, the ones that are on Prime on the kind of product page are $20, but then there's some other ones. There's 37 other sellers, and they're all kind of hovered right around that $19.95. I'm surprised somebody doesn't come in and try and undercut everybody.
Yeah, and that's the thing too on Amazon. A lot of times it's not necessarily the price. A lot of times it's if you're on that first page of search, because a lot of people, are just lazy and they don't want to click to page 2 or page 3. And so, you're able to generate sales that way.
Yeah, no, that's the same way. I just search and then kind of sort by rating, and then okay, this one is the best seller. Fine. So what kind of time commitment? So this is a full-time income for you, but how much is the bulk of your time spent trying to look for new product opportunities or dealing with your manufacturers? What's the time commitment look like?
Yeah, sure. So the reason why I went to private labeling was because I was doing the retail arbitrage, which I still do a little bit, mainly online. I'll purchase some stores online and then send in. But that was becoming very time consuming because a lot of times you're only buying 1 or 2 products, which is good because you're going wide on your product base. But it takes a lot of time. The great thing about private labeling, it's similar to wholesale. So, again, like take these onion goggles as an example. I buy 400 of them at one time. I get them into my house. I'm able to ship those 400 in. It's just a lot more efficient, when it comes to time. But yeah, so my job, I homeschool my two children, and so I bounce back and forth, between the importing and listing stuff on Amazon and teaching them as well. But I imagine I probably put in 40 to 45 hours a week.
Okay.
Like a normal job.
Yeah. No, but it's something that could be started as a side hustle for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I was going to ask just about maybe take a step back, big picture. Like, do you see yourself doing this full time? Does the world need more plastic crap from China? Like, what, is this, because a lot of the businesses we talk about, like, this is something that I'm interested in, or this is something that I, care deeply about. It sounds like it's a fun business for you, and I don't mean any offense by that, but
No, I totally get what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah. So my big picture plan is in 5 years, I would like to be able to have 30 to 35 private label products that I'm selling on Amazon. And I would love to be able to hire somebody full time, pay them $60,000 a year to be able to manage, my current products that I have, manage my Amazon account. And then basically the work that I have to do is finding a new product about every month or month and a half. So that's something that we're still trying to figure out, is what the shelf life will be, on the products that I have. And I'm guessing it's probably around 18 months to 2 years before the market may become too saturated, and where you have to drop that one off and then add another one.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my long-term goal. I would love to be able to hire somebody full-time to kind of do what I'm doing. And, here's the crazy thing, and I'm sure you talk about this with your other guests. Online sales just continue to explode. Every year here in the U.S., it's like 20% growth year over year. I just heard the other day that's what it was this year. And then internationally, they're exploding at a greater percentage. And so, when you look at Brazil, when you look at, some of the European countries, those countries are growing like at 35, 40%. And then the kicker for me is still only 10% of all goods are purchased online. And so, I always joke with people whenever I go to a raffle, I never win the ticket. I'll buy tickets, I never win. And it's like I feel like I finally won something because I got in on the ground level, that only 10% of all goods are purchased online, yet the growth, it just continues to explode year over year. So yeah, I think there's going to be a continued need. I think there's going to be a lot more sellers like myself who continue to flood, the market, because I just think the growth is going to continue to go up.
If people want to learn more about this, what should they do? Where should they go?
Our website, it's slamazonprivatelabel.com. Again, that's slamazonprivatelabel.com. And we're starting the course in January. January 5th is the start date. My business partner, Maggie Cuson, and I were both teaching the course. We're only allowing 200 people to enter the course. And so we have a few spots left open. And basically the course consists of 5 initial jumpstart videos that are already done. It's going to talk about Alibaba and how to find manufacturers. We're going to talk about the legal aspects, understanding Chinese negotiations. I'm going to show you how to source on Amazon. And then we're going to talk about building out your brand. And then along with those 5 videos, we're going to have a closed Facebook group where people are going to be able to share their process, like, how they're getting samples. And we're going to talk about importing. And then we're going to do 8 live webinars from the beginning on January 5th. We'll do 8 live webinars for the first 8 weeks with all the people in that course.
Okay. I've seen some of these courses priced in the several $1,000s range. What's the ticket or sticker price on this thing?
Yeah, so ours is $497. And I just kind of hit on that number. Maggie was actually my business partner. She's the one that taught me. And, she showed me how to do it. And she didn't ask for it. She was just doing it as a friend. But I gave her a check for $1,000 because I knew that her information has made me, much, much more money than that. And of course, she didn't want it.
No. Maggie's a good friend of the show. Thank you, Maggie, for introducing me to Andy. So very, very cool. Well, if you are interested in the course, again, it closes, you said January 5th?
Yeah, the last registration date is December 30th.
Oh, sorry, December 30th. I don't have an affiliate link for it, but it's SlamazonPrivateLabel.com. We'll link that up in the show notes. And if you punch in like in the PayPal notes or whatever, Nick or Side Hustle Show or something, that's very much appreciated. And Andy, any parting thought? Oh, I guess I'm supposed to ask, what's your number one tip for Side Hustle Nation?
Yeah, so mine is just take action. I think a lot of times they can be career students, or career learners. And I know for me, the biggest thing I've learned in the last year and a half since I started the side hustle that turned into my full-time hustle was just to take action and to not look at the opportunity as I'm going to try it. I've done a lot of those in my life where I've said, you know what, I'm going to try this. And when I started selling online, I saw the success that others were having. And I said, you know what? This isn't going to be something that I'm going to try. I'm just going to take action and I'm going to put in the work and the hustle and the effort that it takes to make this thing work. And so fortunately, that's happened for me. So yeah, my biggest advice always to people is to take action.
I love it, Andy. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing some really good nitty-gritty details on how to get this done. Really a fascinating business. I'm curious to learn more and see how this kind of evolves over the next 3 to 6 months. And because Amazon is a big fish, and if you can get your piece of it, I think that's pretty cool.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Nick.
You bet. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
There it is. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Andy Slamans from SlamazonPrivateLabel.com. Definitely got my gears turning a little bit. Maybe this is something I experiment with in 2015. I don't know. I do love the idea of tapping into existing marketplaces like Amazon. They definitely don't get much bigger than Amazon. So definitely, I think this way to go about it, this version of FBA is more appealing to me than scouting for items on clearance at Target and stuff like that. Even if it's probably more work and a higher investment upfront. But I'll keep you posted, and I hope you'll do the same if you do decide to get into this, or if you have already. Let me know what your experience was like. You can grab a free PDF with all the notes and highlights from this episode with Andy at sidehustlenation.com/84, or through the link in the episode description of your podcast player app. And just a quick question, just a quick note on this, because I had a question on it. If you're already subscribed to the Side Hustle Nation email list, you can grab those podcast files just the same. You're not going to be resubscribed or added to any new list or get any more emails than usual. It's just a way to bring new listeners into the fold. So thank you so much for listening. Until next time, go out there and make something happen. And I'll see you next week in episode 85, where we're going to explore why you might consider starting a podcast of your own as a side hustle. And we dive into one non-John Lee Dumas, non-entrepreneur on fire success story for that. So looking forward to that one, and I'll see you then. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to The Side Hustle Show at www.sidehustlenation.com.